Hello everyone, I'm again here in my studio in Sofia, Bulgaria, and I have another topic for you. Basically, I know a big part of this community that watches these videos is consisting of aspiring bookbinders or beginner ones or hobbyists, and I guess most of you wonder how much time does it take to learn this craft, and what can they expect of progression. And I would like to somehow visualize this while at the same time showing you my personal journal collection that I've saved up over the years. And you can see how things have changed, how structures have changed, how decorations have changed, and just the whole vision of what you might want to create. And it's very, I don't know, it has many ups and downs, this sort of journey. I guess at first I was a hobbyist myself, just making journals for myself, for friends and family, for gifts. And after someone told me, wow, this is really cool, would you make one for me, I'll pay you. And I said to myself, wow, this might be something that isn't just a hobby, that might transform itself into a profession. And this is one shift that absolutely changes how you treat this work, and ultimately what comes out of your hands as a product. And another shift is while making things and you see all the defects and the mistakes that you've made, and the ones you think you'll fix next time, and this drive to do things better, which is actually the road to mastery. And when you set yourself that goal that you want to become a master at something, not just do it, it's another transformation that really impacts how things look, feel, act in the end. And I hope I can shed some light on these thoughts and questions while showing you my work, and I hope you find it interesting. I'm not sure if any of these things are on the internet right now, because I've deleted them. These are maybe the first ones are from 2013, and yeah, I hope you like it. So I'll try to keep this as chronologically correct as possible, but some journals I've forgotten when exactly I've made them. But I am sure that this is my absolute first one. This is a Coptic stitch journal with covers of thick calf leather and some kind of polyester thread with common recycled copy paper. And as you can see, my first record is July 2013. And surprisingly, this journal took some heavy damage. I mean, I took it everywhere with me, constantly writing in it, and folding it in every possible aggressive manner, but still, the only signs of wear and tear are some smudges on the spine, the yellowing of the paper, and these creases on the leather itself, which actually just give it a bit of more character, nothing ugly. And this is done really with no special tools at all. I didn't even have a bone folder then. Just needle, thread, and some materials you can find mostly everywhere. The next one I did was a bit more larger. This is an A5 journal, and it's a really strange design. It's the same leather on the cover as the one in the previous Coptic stitch journal. This time I tried to decorate it with I'm not sure how to say it in English, but a pyrograph, basically a heated piece of metal wire that you burn through the leather. Try to draw some, I don't know, abstract stuff. And the spine is made of a leather from an old jacket I bought for cheap, and I sewed them together with these two lines of stitches. But the funny thing is that these are fake. I didn't know back then what these bumps in the spine of the leather actually were. I thought they were just for aesthetic reasons, so I did the same. I just put some pieces of leather beneath it to look like a book, but in reality it does nothing. The leather isn't even vegetable tanned. But I also tried to sew on an end band, and as you can see, it's quite grotesque. It absolutely stands above the spine, uneven as all hell. But once again, surprisingly, this thing was extensively used. It was basically my diary, and it stood the test of time. It's still held together by something, but as you can see, the end papers inside took some damage, and they're ugly. You can see the glue. And by the way, when I say glue, I used the most the worst choices of glue for these ones. I think I used shoe glue, which is basically a poisonous thick stuff, and used C200, which is a really popular wood glue here in Bulgaria. So yeah, I hope nobody finds it in the future. My next book I thought is going to be my magnum opus, and you can see I really outdone myself with the pyrograph. Some unfortunate accidents regarding trying out gold tooling, this strange piece of foil, the scrapings on the leather. It's basically the same leather from the jacket that I used on the spine of the previous book. But this time I tried sewing it on a sewing frame. So these are actually real for the first time, and you can see that I glued them on the top of the cover, and you can see the spread of the twine of the cords. But it is one of my better works from the beginning. For some reason, most people actually still like this one more than my most recent work. I don't understand why. I guess it has some naive innocence in it from a person that didn't know what he was doing. But for the first time I used hand papers, which still holds very much better than the previous book you saw. And I used it to write short stories with pen and ink, and try some kind of manuscriptal decorations of sort, but I didn't write much in it, as you can see. Not more than several dozen pages. I'm searching for another ink decoration that I made, like this one. So yeah. I still use these from time to time, the larger ones, but not that often. Another Coptic book done with really thick cow leather. This is an absolutely quick project that I made for schoolwork, and it's not even good at the stitches. It's uneven. The leather is far too thick, and I think I over tighten it a bit too much. And I used leatherworking tools to decorate the leather. But it does lie open flat. I think it's again in the end of 2013. The next journal is a bit of a jump. At this point I think I started selling some. So I bought tools for decorating and kept going at the sewing with the sewing frame, and actually made a not so bad end band. It's silk thread, black and yellow, and this is black pigskin, which I decorated with, as you can see, some gold dots, and it had a design. I don't remember what exactly it looked like, but I remember that I completely ruined it. So I thought to myself, what can I do to fix this? I don't want to throw the book away. So I actually made my first inlay with this rectangular piece of vegetable tanned goat skin and decorated it. And as you can see, these bands are far too thick for this small and thin book. I see many people do this. I don't know what's the fetish with having extremely big, large bands, but they just prevent the book from opening properly. It doesn't look that good, people. Don't ruin your books this way. And I use this one for drawing. As you can see, it has a gold hand paper, foreign papers. At this point I was too lazy to cover this central piece. I always left the fold-ins of the letter to be seen. I don't know why. I think I didn't know what to do to cover them up. But yeah, it has some sketches like the one in the previous journal. Some buildings. Nothing really inspirational. Again, I think I use this once in a year maybe, but I keep it as a bittersweet memory. This next journal is done with the same black pigskin that I used on the previous one. And when I was tooling, I just heated the tools. I didn't know how to treat the leather. You can see gold was on my mind in this period. But these were actually two books, one white and one black. And I wanted to make these perfect. I think these were done 2014, second half of 2014 or beginning of 2015. I'm not sure actually. For some reason inside I've only written the months, but then didn't write the year. But I did a little better with the end bands. I used a leather strip for core. The bands are much thinner, and I used much thinner thread as well. I wanted to make a fine book, not these monstrosities that you saw before. But as you can see, I didn't calculate where to cut the cover boards properly. My corners are very poorly made. But I remember just trying so hard to make this look proper. And it opens very well. It's a very comfortable book. You're just a bit ugly. Oh, and I started sprinkling with black ink. Made quite a mess. I actually remember when I was sewing this at first, I was constantly thinking, I want to make this perfect, I want to make this perfect. And at one point I pulled too hard on the thread and ripped one of the signatures with the paper, and I became so mad that I threw the book in the wall. And after I calmed down for a bit, I said to myself, that's nothing I haven't done before, I'll just continue onward. But when I picked it up and saw the sewing, it actually had been teared from the impact with the wall. So I threw it again and started from the beginning. But that's the first and last time I threw a book at the wall, and it actually was a lesson by itself, because I started using thicker thread because I didn't want to rip the thread if I accidentally threw another book at the wall. This This next one is again a smaller journal, and I made a lot of these format journals in 2016, in the end of 2015 as well. Just, I think, mass produced. I think I made 50 of these. Not the same decoration, but the same format. And the same sewing, basically on 4 cords. And again, I was using a very improper leather for the job. This is not vegetable tanned, but it actually worked more or less to bind the book. And again, I've been using leather strips as a core for the headbands. Started experimenting a bit easier and more confidently with gold. Or maybe it is vegetable tanned, I don't remember. It has not so bad tooling. And again, the gold and the protruding folds. But at this point my corners were beginning to be a bit more nicely formed. Not the best, but still. I write poetry in this. I still use it. I like it very much actually, even though it's nothing special. But the interesting story about this one, and you've probably seen this this line pattern in some of the previous journals I showed you, and this was actually made with this tool, which is my mother's cookie cutter. Basically it cuts cookie dough to form specific cookie shapes, I guess, biscuits. And I just took it because at this point I've already learned that brass tools were used to make decorations, and this is brass and it spins, so it was the perfect tool for the job before I had any rolls. So yeah, your imagination can go wild when you don't have any equipment. Some of you may recognize this next one. If not the design, then at least the shape and form, because this is in essence the same shape as the Star Wars journals, but this one was sewn on 5 bands, while the Star Wars journals was sewn on 3. This was the prototype, and I made it for myself with this beautiful vegetable tanned goatskin that I like very much but can't find anymore. And I tried some onlays and a bit of gold tooling and a bit of blind tooling and a bit of sprinkling, and this crooked headband with 2 cores. And the gilding on the inside edges of the cover. I use this for as a work journal. Basically I wanted to test it how it stands, because I thought this was going to be my next like original design or whatever. So I wanted to see what I can expect from it when being used daily. And at this point, even though some years have passed, this was done in 2017. October. And I thought this was great, but looking at it now, let me share some of my disappointments. As you see in many of my videos, I was very often putting the leather on the spine first, tying it up, waiting it for it to dry, and after it was dried, then glue the covers onto the boards and do the folding. However, as you can see, this doesn't work very well with the leather here that you need to fold behind the headband. You can see it's not stuck properly, and when you open it, it creases. And at this point I didn't do my job well to fill the holes where the twine enters the cover board, and you can see it through the leather, which is quite a disadvantage, and really nothing to be proud of. But when I made it, I thought this was the absolute best thing that I've ever made. I still like it. What can I say? But it's a product of its time, and what can you do? For the last one, this is the medieval girdle journal that I actually have a video of. You can see it in my channel, and this is my absolute favorite, no doubt. When I made this, I was already got my certificate for Master Bookbinder, and it's one of the first works that me and my dad did together. The silver corners are his work. And I don't know where to start. You've all seen medieval girdle books worn on the belt or as a necklace, and when you see books with photographs of these old examples, they're really roughly made. After all, it's a medieval structure. And I did my best to actually modify it and make it look a bit better. For example, add additional leather strips so I can mask to hide the cover boards, because in the old books they're mostly exposed. And it has a leather joint which is sewn on. I used my own paper which I've made. I wrote a bit, but not much. One of my first attempts for the Gothic braided headband. And I wanted the decoration to look spontaneous, like it was made in a monastery by someone who doesn't know what he's doing. But the charm in this little book and the uneven decoration appeals to me so much that I think this was was the book that actually made me think really seriously. Am I going to copy old, wonderful bindings for the end of my life? Not copy, but be heavily inspired, or finally try to be original in some way, in some respectful way. And maybe this was not it, but it really started me on the road to find what my style is, what I can contribute to this craft, and what can differentiate me from the rest of the people who are doing this. And it felt really good to tackle some problems that you've never seen and just see what your mind is capable of conceiving. So yeah, this is the last journal I made for myself. As you can see, I have a lot. But for now, the last one really holds a special place in my heart. For better or for worse, this is my story, and you can see how things changed over the years, and how my vision some in some way morphed, and will continue to morph, because even though I've made, I don't know how much, maybe about 300 journals and books by now from 2013, and it's been 5 or 6 years. The most recent journals you've seen, like the Welkin collection and the Pillars collection, these are still my early work. And in these sorts of jobs and crafts, you can expect your best work to be, I don't know, maybe when you're 50. After 10, 20 years of constant work, I don't know, when you're so comfortable with the materials, and you're so comfortable with your own original ideas and confident in them, that you can actually feel free to create, and create something without flaws, functional or aesthetic ones. So yeah, it's been fun to recollect on these old memories, and in the following weeks I'll try to show you what I have left of the collections I have for sale, because they're quite different, and really the ones I have here are really ones I'm proud of, and I would love to show you and talk about them. And in this kind of way, I actually find these videos quite enjoyable. I hope you do too, and I wish you a wonderful week. Thank you for watching.